What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Headless Magic with Mailbag. I've got my co-host Nick with me. Nick, tell him what you've been working on.
Yo, what's going on? We're still working on Plato. Almost done. Almost done. What else? We had Bennett on today. If people didn't catch it, covering dark DNA and just showing like how they could fuck around and manipulate that shit. I actually start wondering if our technology is actually even manipulating us to begin with. Our DNA. Going by the way he was showing that again. So
Well, if we go back to Ashish, I keep thinking about that episode, because that was like thinking about computer vision really changes your perspective on things. Like that's the first form of intelligence is visual stimulus. And so thinking about that in reference to some of these other topics, like Alex Gray, for instance, one of my favorite artists, he's putting eyeballs everywhere. You know, the guy who does the tool stuff?
yeah.
And it's like that's the birth of intelligence, and he's putting it at all these different spots as sort of like this interlocking, meshwork. But yeah, it's like the DNA specifically. He talks about how there's no reason why DNA changes after you've already been born, but it does, right? That's the epigenetic factor. And the epigenetic factor isn't really explored too much by science. So the dark DNA stuff, that's very important, So thought I'd do that. Let me get into my
That'd be great.
let me pull this up.
Back to the pentacle.
Yeah. This symbol means death. What?
This mysterious ancient symbol appears again and again in Nordic Bronze Age artifacts and throughout Bronze Age Europe over 3,000 years ago. This pointed star or rosette shape was fashioned into the bases of wooden and metal cups, was stamped into golden bowls, and even crowned the tops of the famous Bronze Age gold hats of Central Europe. It was long.
Now I got to stop it right there because as you can see, like these sun shapes are very similar to the sand dollar. And what he gets into a little bit is how the sand dollar is very influential. But where else do you find the 5-pointed star in a circle? It's the pentacle. So the sand dollar could be the birth of the pentacle. And it goes back, this is 1400 BC, but it goes back even further.
To be a solar symbol, one of many signs related to the sun-focused Bronze Age religion. And maybe it is. But the specific design perhaps comes from somewhere unexpected and conveys a deeper meaning that helps us understand more about our ancestors' beliefs. This fascinating 2024 paper by Christian Horn suggests the motif comes from the sea. Along the beaches of the Baltic Sea, Nordic Bronze Age people encountered fossilized sea urchins, naturally weathered out of local deposits. These fossils often display a striking 5-rayed star pattern, almost identical to the motif seen on Nordic.
How pentacle is that? I mean, come on. This is part 2, but you can see exactly where all of this stuff is coming from. It has to do with the sun. It has to do with the sea. It has to do with bringing things down into reality. It's the point where, the altar of the world is sort of handed to you, right? They're telling you, hey, this is important.
Bronze Age artifacts, and these fossils were deliberately collected and placed in burials alongside amber shells, seaweed, and water-worn stones, because in many Indo-European traditions, the afterlife lies beyond the sea. The dead journey westwards, following the sun, crossing water to reach the realm of the ancestors. Beaches then were liminal places, the threshold between worlds. The star-marked sea urchin fossil represented this concept. Maybe it was understood as a solar or star symbol, but somehow born from the sea. These ancient and mysterious stones marked with a natural symbol that mirrored the cosmic order. So it became a material link between land and water, between this world and the afterlife, between the living and the ancestors. And when the same star symbol was used on drinking vessels and ritual objects, it's embedding these cosmological ideas into ritual acts. And when placed in tombs that could themselves be shaped like the symbol, it was a reminder that death, like the sun, sets across the sea, and perhaps that one day the soul will return again, like the tides and like the sun each day. Interestingly, these fossils have also been found in much later Anglo-Saxon sites and burials in eastern England too, perhaps a truly ancient practice brought by the early medieval invaders. You can find out more about Bronze Age religion on my channel now.
Well, what do you think? What do you think? Is there a link between the pentacle and these sea urchins, or sand dollars, as we call them? Those are different species of sea urchin, right? Making this carapace, this sort of connection between, the liminal space at the sea.
I can see that. Even with the pentacle, if you think about it, depending on how it's being used or represented, like in ceremonial magic, it is actually, even though it's associated with earth, it would also be representing the other elements and spirit. So, I mean, I can see it being, associated with water in that sense. Like it's tied to the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like it's grounded to the earth.
Right.
So like that water is still like laying on the earth.
And water is a potent symbol for spirit too. So you've got soul. Did he say whether or not that soul had a U in it, or was it just SO?
Oh yeah, I don't think he mentioned that.
Soul, the sun, right? Like we're seeing that connection, right? There's that huge connection between the sun and the afterlife and all the rest of the stuff that you get in the 5-pointed star that you can't really get too many other places. But it's a different kind of pentacle. It's a more pointed and less geometric shape, but you see it also with the starfish, right? 5 sides for the starfish as well. So I think a lot of our symbols do come from the ocean, and people aren't really too hip to it.
No, I even like a thing that's even kind of like well used for Isis, or like a certain feminine goddesses. Obviously, the feminine if they're goddess. Seashells, but like using those to like put stuff in for like offerings, or I've seen people incorporate seashells just to, again, something to do with the water and femininity.
The birth of Aphrodite, she comes out of a seashell, right? Sea foam, seashell. That's where love comes from. Love's coming from the ocean. That's interesting.
Yeah, depending on like what I was using. Sometimes if I was like working like with Isis, I think I would use if I had a sage stick, I would put it out or put it in the seashell, like on my altar. So like, I changed that out, I guess, to represent closer to her, something to do with the feminine. Yeah, but yeah, seashells and stuff with the water for sure. I mean, definitely for goddess and feminine energy. And again, birthing stuff into reality, into birthing stuff into form. Even the woman breaks water when.
Well, the path of the sun seems to be where you get your soul from, right? I mean, it's in the name. So your birth sign is the solar sign, right? The soul coming up at a certain part of the sky gives you your birth sign. So it's sort of like it's all sort of incorporated into the soul idea. It's like the sun is imprinting on you certain aspects.
Oh, definitely. I believe it is.
So when people talk about solar worship, they don't really incorporate the idea of the birth sign, but really, why not? Why not? It's right there, So sun worship, I think, is getting a lot more attention nowadays, probably because people are a little bit more, aware that there's this ancient link to sun worship, and it has to do a lot with psychology and how we view the world around us, whether it's a good place or a bad place. If you think about Gnosticism sees birth into this world as sort of like a villainous act, right? It's like the archons put you into this horrible place. Whereas sun worship is like the opposite. It's like, thank you for giving me life. Thank you for imprinting me. It's a completely different view of the things that we're given, Let's see.
Yes. So I figured in order to combat all your penis gods, I brought the vagina goddess. She could definitely handle that other that you brought on, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Guy who's got like an arm. She's like, I got
Right.
you. This is a Sheila. Man, I'm fucked up. This is a Sheila Nagigs, the stone woman at the threshold. Sheila Nagig is a figurative carving of a naked woman displaying an exaggerated vulva. These carvings from the Middle Ages are architectural, and they're found throughout most of Europe on cathedrals, castles, and other buildings. The greatest concentrations can be found in Ireland, Great Britain, France, and Spain, sometimes together with male figures. Ireland has the greatest number of surviving carvings, and they've been cited up to, I think, 124 examples in Ireland and 45. They found 45 in Britain. The carving, yeah, right. I'll get into a little bit of this later. The carvings may have been used to ward off death, evil demons, other grotesque carvings such as gargoyles and hunky punks. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Hunky punks. I got to do that one next week. Were frequently part of church decorations all over Europe. Scholars disagree about the origins of the figure. James Jarman and Anthony Weir believe the Sheila Nagigs were first carved in France and Spain during the 11th century. The motif eventually reached Britain and then Ireland in the 12th century. Jarman and Weir work was a continuation of research begun by Jorgen Andersen, who wrote The Witch on the Wall in 1977, the first serious book on Sheila Nagigs. Someone by something Kelly, keeper of Irish antiquities at the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin, he draws attention to the distribution of Sheila Nagigs in Ireland to support Weir and Jarman's theory. A popular hypothesis is Sheila Nagig represents a pagan goddess, but academics believe the situation was more complex with multiple interpretations and roles for the female character as spiritual traditions change over time. The goddess in question usually is identified as Celtic. The hag-like Calich figure of Irish and Scottish mythology. Margaret Murray proposed this, as did Anne Ross, who wrote in her essay, The Divine Hag of the Pagan Celts. I would like to suggest that in their earliest iconography form, they do in fact portray the territorial or war goddess in her hag-like aspect. Georgia Rhodes suggests the figure may represent a crone or an earth goddess from Celtic mythology. Mercia Eliades, the Encyclopedia of Religion in 1993, draws parallels between the Sheila Nagig and ancient Irish myth of the goddess who granted kingship. She would appear as a lustful hag, and most men would refuse her advances, except for one man who accepted. When he had relations with her, she was transformed into a beautiful maiden who would confer royalty onto him and bless his reign. It's like Beauty and the Beast, but the other way around.
Right.
There are
the
additional
frog and the prince. You remember the frog? Yeah, you got to kiss the frog to get a prince. It's a Sheila Nagig.
That's right. Yeah. There are additional variants of this common Northern European motif. See Lothely Lady. Anderson devotes a chapter to his theory entitled Pagan or Medieval. While suggesting possible pagan influences on Irish Sheila Nagigs, he considers them as having a medieval context. He argues that pagan origins are less likely than influence from the continent during the medieval period. What can be said against it is that it is less easily proved and can be less easily illustrated than the possible continental French origin for the motif. Sorry, I was fucking that up. Now, some of the things that it's also been supposedly, again, I mentioned fertility, or maybe I didn't. It's been looked at for fertility. This hypothesis usually is combined with the goddess explanation. Barbara Freitag suggests the figures were used in fertility contexts and associate them with birthing stones. This is folkloric evidence of at least some of the Sheila Nagigs being used in this manner, with the figurines being loaned out to women in labor. It's also been looked at as a thing for lust. Weir in German suggested that Sheila Nagig served as a warn against lust. They see the figures as a religious warning against sins of the flesh. Exhibitionist figures of all types, male, female, and bestial, are found frequently in company of image of beasts, devouring people and other hellish images. These images, they argue, were used as means of religious instructions to a largely illiterate populace. And it's also been known as for protection. And again, Anderson and Weir and German think the figures also have been used to protect against evil. This would explain the use of the figurines on structures such as castles. They served as apotropaic function, designed to ward off evil. In Ireland, some of the figurines were called the evil eye stones, which supported their theory. Some folkloric evidence is known as anasirma, skirt lifting being used by a woman to ward off evil spirits. And I think I got a few more that I could show real quick. There we go. There's another one.
Ooh. Yep. There she goes. It's funny, the eye shape. The eye shape is similar in all these different depictions. It's very, it kind of has a Sumerian feel to it. That one's a little bit more Easter Island, right?
Yeah, right?
Interesting. Downspout?
Fucking Isaac will get out of this one. That shit hurts.
Right. Well, I think the eyes are shaped like it's supposed to look like wrinkles. I think that's what it's sort of saying to me. It's supposed to be a haggish sort of wrinkle, but to point something out that none of these other guys are pointing out when it comes to this thing is that you've got Father Time and Mother Space. They have to put these on top of all of these cathedrals, and they have to put them on top of castles, all places where you've got to be thinking about the use of space, right? And you could see over and over again in all of these cathedrals in Europe, they've got very, very strong goddess vibes. Like the three entryways, the middle door is always the largest because it's supposed to symbolize two legs. Like you're going inside of the body of the goddess, inside of the space, right? So like they're not thinking about this from the perspective of like the holistic view of it. Like the letter M, for instance, is supposed to be a motherly type letter, and it's shaped like two legs. Yeah. Right? Giving birth. This is the same kind of giving birth motif, and it's on top of these castles. So, we're not going with the aspect of maybe cosmology. We're going with, these are just, silly spirits. But in fact, if you think about it, all interior spaces have kind of a feminine quality to them. I didn't design the body or how things are produced, but all things come from inside to the outside world, and in doing so, it creates that kind of that motif itself, So I think there's more to this idea of mother space and father time than people are giving credit to, but it's there, I mean, they can't design a building without a little bit of that femininity aspect to it.
Exactly. Bam. There we go.
All right. Well, you think we got some mail?
Probably not.
We're gonna check. So I don't know. Have you been following what's going on in Australia?
No. What's going on? I've been told.
So they're
news lately.
They're passing a bill that, they split it up into several bills that now illegalizes speech that has already been said. So they're retroactively classifying people's speech as being illegal. Yeah. This is like UK on steroids.
Yo, that's
right.
That's crazy.
It's utterly incomprehensible. But what I think it is that the government is so hungry for a win against the people they feel that, they've been programmed their entire lives to fear more than anybody else, right? They think that they're targeting Nazis by targeting the whole country. And so they're going to take everybody and put them under the same classification because you have to have radical equality when it comes to these laws. And the added bonus is that now you can illegalize any political challenger to your reign. You can just, preemptively classify them as illegal, and they never can form a political party. So you don't have to worry about it. Like, this shores up all the problems that they see with democracy, which is, what if the wrong guy gets elected? This is perfect for that. Well, that's what all governments worry about, right? What if the wrong guy gets elected? We could see it over and over again with Donald Trump's first administration. Oh no, the wrong guy got elected. Well,
nothing.
Again,
Tell you, man, there's something wrong with your email.
It's got to be. I'm gonna start a different one. I'm doing test emails to myself.
Okay.
Gmail has always had this problem, and I guess it's just a continuation of that.
Yeah, I literally, it took over about an hour and a half. And the guy was like swearing. He's like, dude, I sent you the email 45 minutes ago. I didn't get an email for an hour and a half later. I was like, what the fuck?
It's got to go through all sorts of filters.
I don't know. Yeah, we might be able to get David Shoemaker on the show. That should be interesting.
Nice.
Psychologist who was he has his own. I don't think it's his. I think he runs it AA lineage, and he also has he also has some books. He's into like Thelema, but he's
I really want to get into that. He's an academic too.
Yeah, he looks at it totally different than some people, for sure.
Right, but the Astrum Argentum is really interesting to me. It'd be nice to have an insider on. We can, go back and forth about it. You can kind of pick up on the philosophies that these organizations have through the way that they describe the world. And, it's a very valuable insight considering, all of the interest nowadays, but hardly any time is actually spent listening to the people as much as it is, demonizing their organizations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Warranted or not, you still want to hear the people, right? And that's
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think. Also, she's talking about Father Time as being Saturn or Kronos again, right? So, Kronos was his partner was Rhea, and Rhea is the most similar to Kybele. Kybele came from all of those. Have you ever seen the Venus of Willendorf? No. So the Venus of Willendorf is like one of the oldest representations of a goddess. It's like 40,000 years old, right? Like it's supposed to be a goddess, but the head on it is like strange. It's not exactly a head, and it looks like what a pregnant woman would see looking down at herself, right? So it looks like it's carved by a pregnant woman who's looking down at herself. And this is like one of the oldest forms of goddess worship. And it's interesting that Rhea is the mother of all of the Olympians, right? So Kronos, he represents the last generation of Titans. Rhea represents the new generation of Olympians, right? She's giving birth to Zeus and all the rest of these. Now, that goes back 40,000 years, according to the, syncretism on it. So the idea of the new gods being birthed out of this Kybele or space, which is, back to the mother and the father time, mother space, that really puts a different view on things. It almost goes back to the cognitive formation of what it is to be human, right? I think there's something really primal about that because, we do change the way we see the world. That's one thing that you could say about history. We change the way we see the world. Right? And so to have that perspective back then, it tells you something about the different level that they were on. They were seeing the world in ways that we can't possibly imagine. And we sort of take for granted all of the, I guess we would look at them as childlike symbols. But these are symbols that survive for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? Like the squatter man, for instance. Squatter man is a very interesting motif that spans 5 continents for thousands and thousands of years, and people think it's just a stick figure. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something a little deeper than that. Maybe it's something that you see when you blast off, because I believe back then that was part of their rituals, is blasting off outside of the body,
I hope so.
Right. As one would. I mean, to think that they weren't seeing anything is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Right.
And to think that there wouldn't be a similarity between the things that they see, that almost seems even more ridiculous. We're all working with the same brains, and if we're blasting off outside of our bodies, we're going to see similar things.
Is that,
You know?
yeah, that's a wildest shit, actually. So I think you follow from the same flow of energy, a flow of ideas, or whatever, a stream of consciousness, or whatever the fuck.
Right, all being culturally, consumed. So it's connected to all these other symbols, just like we do today. I mean, our symbols, think about the Matrix, right? This is a cultural abstraction of the idea of Gnosticism, right? Where you've got this simulacrum that you're living in, this false reality. And they were talking about that thousands of years too. But, we've got this new cultural symbol for it, which is this green lettering that's coming down. That represents the Matrix, right? And what do we see our lives sort of existing in is the same sort of cyclical pattern that we've seen with Gnosticism, 2,000 years ago. It's very similar. And when does the Gnostic text come out? When do they discover this thing or reveal it to the public? 1947, the same year that we get the CIA. This intelligence agency is connected to this false reality, right? Maybe in just a tangential way, but maybe that's sort of the matrix we're living in, is that informational matrix. Seems plausible. It's a symbol, right? And these things reoccur having to do with how we see the world. So having different cultural motifs for the same concept over and over again doesn't seem very far-fetched to me.
No, not at all. All right.
But this is.
Oh, yo, do we have that that thing this weekend? Is that this weekend? I can't remember. Oh no, it's not. It's next week. Sorry, my bad. Starting to get nervous. You have Ronnie Pontiac though tomorrow. That guy, he worked for Manly P. Hall, and he's covering a book of his that's about near-death experiences.
Oh man,
yeah, isn't it?
He would appreciate some alchemy too, right? That's what got him started. Is alchemy, is translating the works of alchemists.
Yeah, nice guy. So it should be interesting tomorrow. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this has been another Headless's mailbag, another empty mailbag, guys. Come on,
right?
Step it up.
The fuck? Oh, yo, you know what? Too, I don't know if you can make. Did Jules ask you about tonight?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be
live again.
Coming back at 9, right?
Yeah, 9 your time, 10 my time. That's right. Yeah.
Right. Now I'm going to try and get all of my shows around 7:30. So if you guys are wondering when I'm going to go live, it's going to be around 7:30. We're going to try and keep that consistent. So.
Oh, I didn't even mention anything before, and I guess people watch. It doesn't matter on YouTube because they're not watching it now. But for people who are listening on audio, if you do happen to, what happened? He doesn't do it anymore. No, it's on the audio. It's on Headless's end. So if you want to get to 777 or even this, you have to go watch it on Headless's. Not mine anymore. So yeah, there you go. So people catching the audio thinking you haven't seen it, it's because you're looking at the wrong channel.
Right. Come on over.
Yeah. There's actually, tell you the truth, it might actually, again, I think I've said this before. It's even easier to an extent for me to put a lot more stuff out on audio than it is on video. Like if there's stuff that really doesn't need fucking visuals, I'm probably just going to put it on Spreaker if it's a solo show. So keep an eye out. There may actually be more audio to listen to than visuals on YouTube, especially for censored shit too. So,
right.
Yeah, check that out.
Plus, 8-pointed star looks like the 8-pointed chaos star. Right? And the 8 points could be the different directions, like space.
Yeah. Did you ever see that on there's a dude who has that, right? God, I'm trying to think if there's an account that looks like it has the 8-pointed star, kind of like an arrows inside of a
right with the cube in the middle.
Yeah. What that's the fucking account is that? Fuck, I can't remember. Yeah,
I forgot. But it's the perfect symbol. It's like, so everybody gets freaked out about Saturn, but when you put it in context with the rest of it, it kind of starts to make a little bit more sense. And you can see yourself as being, a part of a greater whole when you understand it a little bit better. And I think that's what we're here to do, right? Make people at least feel at home in this place instead of being alienated all the time. I mean, shit, we're all going through it. So, let's at least appreciate the ride a little bit.
Hell yeah, let's try to.
All right, guys. So we'll see you again at 9 p.m. CST, and catch you later.
Later.